And welcome to another episode of Men Forward. Today it's just me and Ali. Neil is busy with life today. The whole idea of this podcast was to understand how to stay productive whilst you're juggling so many things.
It's very hard to fix an engine while you're driving the car. And for me, I need to stop the car, stop everything, get out of the car, check the engine, calibrate. Maybe it needs oil, maybe it needs water, maybe it needs any other maintenance. Fix it before you continue. So for me, sometimes when I feel that my life is almost falling apart and I'm really sucked into busyness, that I'm running for the sake of running, this is usually where I extract myself, take a moment and freaking calibrate and understand, okay, where am I moving? Why I'm feeling what I'm feeling at this point of time? What do I need to change in order to continue on the journey?
Because I think when it comes to productivity, a lot of the people have this notion that, okay, they can do multiple things at the same time. It's impossible. Like, I feel where focus goes, energy flows. And wherever there is energy flowing, you produce a lot better things. And that's why I would rather focus on one particular task, get that done, and then move on to something else. And Pomodoro works really, really well for me because 25 minutes, I can focus on the task. 5 minutes, I have a break. And then after 3 Pomodoros, I have a longer break of 15 minutes.
Listen, I'm always saying, if you want to be more productive, to do more stuff in your life, then you have the wrong definition of productivity. Productivity should be that you do more in less time, so you have time that you can spend on things that you actually want to do in your life.
Welcome to another episode of Men Forward. Today it's just me and Ali. Neil is busy with life today. And it's just going to be the two of us. And we are talking about something very exciting, which we actually wanted to talk about last week because all three of us have been extremely busy these days. And, we have life happening, we have our relationship happening, we have our job happening, we have multiple other things that we look into, our fitness, whatnot. So there is so much that is happening. The whole idea of this podcast was to understand how to stay productive whilst you're juggling so many things, because of course getting busy is a lot easier and then you feel like you are getting a lot of shit done, but being busy versus being productive are completely two different things. And I have my bro Ali here with me, who I have worked with before, and he knows how both of us work. We have worked for Mind Valley, where we used to do campaigns, we used to do a lot of different marketing funnels, and it was a blast. But now, Ali, what do you actually do? I don't know what your role is now. You're working as a consultant.
So I was going to say good morning from Denmark, sunny but cold Denmark, which is a good combination, actually, very good combination. The air is so fresh, it's I want to inhale as much as possible. But on the side, so on my day-to-day work, I'm working as a senior consultant in the largest media agency in the world, which is called WPP, which owns almost 1/3 of the market of media buying. And I'm working in one of the sub agencies in it, which is called Wavemaker. And my specific role is very much about transformation. It can be organizational transformation, it can be digital transformation, it can be any type of transformation, mainly, but it's mainly working with marketing departments when they say we want to move from way of doing things A to way of doing things B. But that's usually, for example, global team and maybe 19, 20 or 40 markets. So I've been working on IKEA as an account. I'm working on Loyal or Loyal in general as an account, Royal Canin. And the latest one that I'm working on, a biggest transformational project, is called Odike. So they do hearing aid, and we're working specifically with a global team and across 19 markets to move from what they call a performance marketing into a full funnel marketing. So how do you build your awareness? How do you build your brand in a certain market so you actually have long-term growth and not just year-on-year growth? So that's usually what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, all of the tasks that fall out of normal media and marketing, but still related to it. This is usually where they pull me in. And that has been a very interesting and exciting journey, mainly because it allows me to have a variety of work, and usually I'm thrown into things that I don't know shit about. And in 2 days, I need to be an expert in the topic. And you know what? Actually, it's a very good skill, but also very stressful at times, that you need to try to convince or present something for people that you barely figured out yourself the night before. But you know what? I like it. I like working under pressure. My ADHD works very well under a lot of pressure, and so far I'm still having a job. So definitely I'm doing something that's okay in there, and I think that's very very good. And that's my day-to-day job. And on the other side, like, I'm very passionate about the whole idea of building a movement or a community, because sometimes you want to build things that is for yourself because you crave it, and you actually want to have the same thing for other people, so you want to be a front runner. And again, sometimes I'm like, I feel currently, I know I'm going to be a bit off track, but I will be getting back to the topic. But I think this is very very important, of why are we doing this every single weekend? Why are we taking time? I have 3 kids in there that need to be fed, myself, my own son, and 2 kids, but I'm still prioritizing to sit out in the garden so I have a bit of silence to do this, because my goal and my big vision is really to be surrounded by like-minded people around the world, people who are pushing for the same vision, the same goal, who are united, who feel a sense of belonging. Because I feel sometimes that we're living in our own little box and we're fighting exactly the same fight, but we're fighting it alone. And I believe that if we fight against life as a community or as a group or as a wolf pack, then the likelihood of success is way bigger. And it's always way more fun to do it with other people. And this is why we're sitting and doing this. This is just to build our discipline and build the movement. And we need to set a standard for ourselves before we can do it for other people. So that's really the introduction of myself and why I'm sitting here on a cold winter morning in November and doing this beautiful podcast. But back to the main topic, which is on how to stay productive in the time of busyness and 100% responsibilities from your family, from your work, from your friends, from your partner, from your kids, from yourself, and so on. The first thing that really pops in my mind is it's very hard to fix an engine while you're driving the car. And for me, I need to stop the car, stop everything, get out of the car, check the engine, calibrate. Maybe it needs oil, maybe it needs water, maybe it needs some any other maintenance. Fix it before you continue. So for me, sometimes when I feel that my life is almost falling apart and I'm really sucked into busyness, that I'm running for the sake of running, this is usually where I extract myself, take a moment and freaking calibrate and understand, okay, where am I moving? Why I'm feeling what I'm feeling at this point of time? What do I need to change in order to continue on the journey? And usually these 3 things are enough for me to calibrate. And at the end of it, I just need to convince myself that things are not out of control. And sometimes, by the way, it's usually maybe a half a day. I'm like, to my wife and kid, I'm like, guys, you take care of yourself. I need to extract myself and do this because this is critical. This is not just a nice to have. This is something I need to have. Otherwise, I know myself, when a man is feeling lost, dude, it fosters frustration, it fosters anger, and usually that one is distributed to your family and the people who are around you. So I prefer to extract myself, calibrate, and put myself back again. That's one part, and then we can continue on that one. But I think I strongly believe that one of the people that is actually best at it, and I know you said, but you are actually very very good on staying on track. So from your side, and I know because you have a very demanding job, you have side projects, you have a partner, uh, you have very big ambitions in life. So, Rafe, I would love to hear also from your perspective, how do you stay on track when with all of the madness around?
Yeah, I think so there are so many things in my head because you asked the question in a way where you were talking about the partner, about projects, about my relationships. But I think one of the things that I've learned, which might not be directly related to it, but is relative in one way or a form, is the relationships that I have today. Like I am not looking to expand my relationships, especially when it comes to my friends. I have kept my circle very small, and so when it comes to my circle, I'm not out there partying with them because they are similar people like me, and at times living away from Malaysia, so it becomes easier to socialize in different ways where I can schedule time. Like this podcast is the reason, one of the biggest reasons why we are also doing it is so that we can stay connected. All 3 of us can stay connected and can stay updated about each other's life. when it comes to productivity, I think I have certain um, I have certain things that I use, especially looking at how demanding my job is, and how productive I have to be, because I have to really measure every single hour that I spend and how do I do it most effectively. So I use two tools. One of it is my to do list, because without that I am lost. I don't know what I'm doing. And second thing is Pomodoro. So these two things work hand in hand for me. So I have, let's say, a list of tasks. Let's say if I have 20 tasks. Now, all of these 20 tasks, I have to first look at how much time do I have to block for each task. So let's say if I have 20, I'm like, okay, all of these tasks will be done in like 15 hours. And once I have added, let's say this task will take an hour, this task will take 15 minutes, this task will take 20 minutes, and then I put that in my calendar so that I can block that time to get that shit done. And
Mm.
then I have Pomodoros. So each Pomodoro for me is 25-minute long. And I make sure that when that timer is ticking, I don't check my phone. I don't do anything else. I'm just focused on the task at hand and nothing else. Because I think when it comes to productivity, a lot of the people have this notion that, okay, they can do multiple things at the same time. It's impossible. Like, I feel um, where focus goes, energy flows, and wherever there is energy flowing, you produce a lot better things. And that's why, like, I would rather focus on one particular task, get that done, and then move on to something else. And Pomodoro works really, really well for me, because 25 minutes I can focus on the task, 5 minutes I have a break, and then after three Pomodoros I have a longer break of 15 minutes. And that also tells me, if I am, let's say, if I say that I have to script a reel, and I'm like, okay, it will take me 15 minutes. But usually when I am looking at my Pomodoro, at times it takes me longer. And then I'm like, shit, why am I not as good as, getting shit done in like 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes? So it also like pushes the boundaries. Um, and also, like, one of the biggest thing that helps me especially is that my role is remote. So I can work from anywhere in the world. And especially for Mind Valley, like, I have meetings back to back to back, which is a bit of a bummer. But every single time, before going to every single new week, I schedule these blocks of work so that I can get some shit done as well. So for me, like, when it comes to productivity, these tools really, really help me. But when it comes to managing everything else, at the moment I'm struggling, I'll be honest. I've been so busy that I really couldn't take time out to spend that with Eve, with my cats, with my family. So for the past 3 weeks I've been really struggling. But have I been productive? Hell yes. Like, I've produced a lot in the past 3 weeks for sure.
And Rafi, to add to that one, so actually one of the things, because again, usually I don't know why, for the longest time I've been thinking that structure will be something that restrain me. I'm not. I like the free flow, and I actually thrive in chaos. Okay, and that's a very hard thing when you have a partner that's a project manager.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. But you're also
Listen,
like a creative. You're also a creative being, Ali.
yeah,
And
but I am. Listen, dude. I'm always saying, like, put me. I'm always saying it in a process. You put me in the creation phase, I can create 100 million ideas, and put me in the perfection phase. Anything in between, I've been trying to improve, or usually I lean forward on something. There's also, for example, if we look into the dynamic of this group, Rafa is the spearhead. He knows, like, he's the one who will push forward, and he will be like, guys, let's get on board. But I would be like, look, okay, guys, how can we do this in a creative way? How can we do something that creates with humans around us? How can we the emotional intelligence? How do we build it into that one? I think usually that's one thing that definitely learned with life. I'm like, you don't need to be a unicorn and perfect at everything, but really understand what you're very good at, but and what skills are necessary to build success, and surround yourself with the people that actually can uh, cover for your areas of weakness. But for me, one book that actually I've been reading recently that has been helping me a lot, and I'm following the system. It's called the Your Future Your Future Self, and I think the Future ADHD Self. But the book is very, very much like, okay, I think I might have come to the conclusion I might have some sort of ADHD with my energy and my sometimes I it's dude, I've been trying almost nearly every system in the world, and I also figured out it's not just about the system. It's about your inner system and not the technological system. And that's something I think you need to realize at some point of time. It's every system is just a tool, and it's about do you have the handiness of using that tool. And I think that one is about your inner system and how you structure yourself. And at the end of it, I remember my friend, he always said a sentence that stuck with me. It's whatever floats your boat. Listen, man, whatever makes you come forward in life, just use that system. And for me specifically, what I've been doing is really I sit down and I say one piece of cheat. I'm like, okay, what are your goal in like the three things that you would love to achieve for this month? What is the ultimate goal? And then in the week, and then you look into the week. I'm like, okay, how would you split these things forward so you can see progress? And then what I try to do is really on a day-to-day basis. Listen, I'm not too advanced. I'm a simple guy. I like simplicity. Really sitting on a piece of paper. For me, technical tools, it drags me. It becomes complicated. So I have a piece of paper. So just press my piece of papers. And I sit down. I'm like, okay, I transfer my meetings. Things I just have committed to that I need to be there. And then I just mark the rest of the day with a certain color. I'm like, okay, here are my free spots. These are the things that I need to do, and then I just distribute them as I go. Because the problem is, every single time I'm an optimist by nature, so I would say a task will take me 1 hour, and I end up using 4 hours on the task. And somehow my understanding of how long time a task takes is very much out of this reality. And I realized that, and I'm like, you know what? Let it take the time it takes. And that's something that took away that, okay. And also, for when I'm charging clients and so on, listen, someone might do it in 1 hour, I do it in 4 hours, and that's it. But once I do things one time, then trust me, next time I do it, then it's a machine. I love to build. Usually I hate to do one thing for the one thing. I'm always thinking about how can I build something that is scalable and repeatable, so next time I do it, then I don't need to reinvent the entire wheel. And that's why I'm like, whenever they need a framework, whenever they need a template, whenever they need a system, whenever they need something, I'm like, that's usually what they go, Ali, how can we do that? And I think that's a very, very, very good thing. So usually that's has been like working for me. And you know what? I just realized one thing. It's an ongoing process. And every time you get an external reality or a change in circumstances, you need to calibrate. If you have a system that works for you, perfect. If you don't have a system, honestly, just start to have a minimum system. And one advice that I've been taking in my life that I will always give to anyone else, I know thinking about 5 years, 10 years, 2 years from now on, but you know what? Sometimes it's just about thinking day to day. It's about just figure out how do I make something out of the next day. And I think a thought that also struck me, like recently, listen, man, I know it's very good to have a plan for 5 or 10 years, and only when you get to that goal or that mission that you feel a satisfaction. Dude, I don't have any guarantee I'm going to be alive 5 years from now. And the problem is, I'm always, how do you balance progress and productivity in life with enjoying the moments, because they might be taken away from you very sudden. And if and sometimes I think we take it for granted. It's very good to focus on the future and so on, but I think I was listening to some of the philosophers. I don't remember if it was Carl Jung or someone else who were speaking about it, and like, the only thing that exists and the only reality is the reality of now. If you think about it, the future is just now in the future. And which means the only thing that we actually have and the only time is actually now. And sometimes we're so concerned about what is in the future, but we forget what is in the now. So my question, and maybe I want to rephrase it, how can you be productive in the now for the now instead of being productive in the now for the future? And I'm looking at my kid. I'm like, those are the most beautiful moments. I'm looking at time I invited my family over. Those were some of the most beautiful moments. And I'm like, I know you need to keep pushing in life, but you have so many beautiful things around you that you need to be grateful for. No, not need, that you can be grateful for. That if the future is just like something to come. And I don't need to kill myself and my youth for a future that is to come. And I know it's a paradox, by the way. I'm still fighting with it. And again, I think sometimes on this podcast, guys, we haven't figured it out, okay? We still on our journey, but we are determined to make something good out of this life in what shape and form that is. So I think sometimes it's very important that we also show that we are not perfect. We still figuring it out. And we have reflections. We have hard times at times, but we want to make the most out of it. So that's on my productivity and other topics related to it, and how I see productivity. But also, I see that you need to be productive in the now, of making the most out of the now.
Absolutely. Like, how can you have the best days? And I think this is something we always forget, like we're like, yeah, let's, we will figure it out tomorrow. Yes, you can, but only if you're living today. And, like if you're so conscious that, you're living your best life every single day. And I think if you have that mindset, if you're leading and, having best days, eventually that will turn into best weeks, best months, best years. But really being present is what the key is. And I agree. And I think that is one of the things that at the moment I'm trying to also get to, because to me, and I don't know, like, what is the definition of success for a lot of the other people, but for me it is
Your
this
cats.
cat. That's it.
See, that's a punch of happiness that just came in here, man.
Yes, like I feel, like I feel like I'm not spending enough time with them. And for me, like, success would be like freedom, like, and it goes back to your point. Like, how can you be free enough to do what really actually truly matters? We take our job so seriously that we identify ourselves with that. But essentially, like, I think we the most important moments are the moments with your family, the moments with my cats, with my partner, and, like, really building relationships and really leaving an impact to other people's life. I think that's what matters versus always being in a loop. And I honestly think that when it comes to productivity, my whole goal, and something that I'm really obsessed with, is that how can I have those perfect days where I can be present every single day, also get my shit
Exactly.
done, and also live my life,
And
right?
and Rafa, as you said it in here, is at the end of it is how you define things. Because at the end of it, you build the rules that you will obey. And it
Yeah,
is what is success for a person. If success is material success, then you will keep going for that material success. But one day when you wake up and say, like, success is for me that I am alive, that I'm connected with the people that I love, that I have these moments that I one day would appreciate, then it's a totally different game. By the way, it's same life. It's just the change of perspective. And then all of a sudden you have a total different life. Or about productivity. No, man. If listen, I'm always saying, like, if you want to be more productive, to do more stuff in your life, then you have the wrong definition of productivity. Productivity should be that you do more in less time, so you have time that you can spend on things that you actually want to do in your life. For me, that is what real productivity should be, that you should be able to do your work in 3 hours and say, thank you guys, I delivered. I'm gonna go and do something with my life that I'm actually really enjoying, playing with my cats, spending time with my partner, going to some certain classes, evolve myself in a certain area of my life. That is the meaning of productivity. And listen, man, dude, I think both of us have been hustling for many years, but I'm starting to realize, listen, man, if you don't break through and you feel that something is off, review your system. And it might be that there are something in there that is completely and fundamentally wrong that you need to rephrase. And sometimes it's just one mindset that just switch, and out of a sudden you have a total different life. What
absolutely.
that is from person to person, I don't know. I don't know. But sometimes it's like, really start with understanding what is your definition of success. Look into
Yeah,
what really brings you happiness and use more time to create time for the things that brings you happiness.
yeah,
And
and be
that's a totally
present.
different life. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, can I just be home with my kids? That really
Yeah,
brings me joy. And
exactly, bro.
yeah, life, man, life.
Yeah, but I think we're getting there. We are, we have gotten to a place which seemed impossible to us, a few years ago. And now, I'm extremely grateful that we are in a place and a position, that we are comfortable with where we are at. And now we are still, trying to get to the next level, because I think I really want, at least my generation, that the generation that comes after me, to be having this breakthrough already, like not feeling like obliged to do a 9 to 5 job, not feeling obliged to, like, just keep staying in the system, that, my father has seen, that your father has seen, that, their fathers have seen. Like, it's generationally they have just been in the system for so long that for them 9 to 5 was just like, get a job, get married, get kids, and just get over with your life. And this is something that I'm hoping that we can get a breakthrough out of, and I'm sure that we will. But with that being said, I think it has been an amazing conversation, and I know that you have to also go. You have 3 kids at home, um, and I also want to make sure that um, we end the topic here, because I think we have covered a lot on productivity and also the philosophy of life and being present, which goes hand in hand. When I was getting into this conversation, I thought that we will talk a lot of transactional things, but I'm appreciative of how you have already also brought, like, life, the topic of life in it, and what truly matters and what productivity should be and how should we see it.
And Rafi, to the last thing from my side that I would love to give away that I think have been an aha moment for me recently. I don't know if you've seen the guy who's called Bashar, who always sits like this and he almost channel wisdom all of the time. I think he's a fucking cool guy. So one thing that he added is like, when you don't know what to decide on, decide based on the thing that brings you the most excitement, because that is the one thing that will be most valuable for you and will lead you to whatever version that is you meant to be. And I think that was actually very profound, because sometimes, honestly, you want to start the thread and move some way, because we speak about the productivity, but you know what? It's very easy to be productive when things are clear. I think the main challenge is clarity. And how do you get clarity? You know, sometimes if you just want to move with the things that excites you, and hopefully they will lead you to a position that will give you traction and will give you direction. At the end of it, and we said it before and we're going to repeat it again, at least keep moving. Life would never stop. Life will always go in. This is a rule of life. You also need to be moving all of the time. But you need to move at your pace. You don't need to move at someone on Instagram's pace, okay? I think that's a very important thing. But productivity is easy when clarity is present. And
Absolutely.
maybe that's the last thing I wanted to share on from my side. And we're very much looking to Kukumba to join us for the next time. But now he got family obligations. So, and you have your cat that just told you come and spend time with me. So
Yes.
maybe that's a sign.
That's the sign. With that being said, let's end the podcast here. Thank you, Ali, for joining. Thank you, Sirius, for joining the podcast and sharing so much wisdom. With that being said, we'll end the episode here. Like, subscribe, share. And if you're listening, and if you have any topics for us to cover, feel free to drop in the comment and reach out to us. Thank you.
Ciao.